It's easy to get stuck reaching for the same familiar fruits and vegetables, even when you know a colorful variety is key. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements don't replace fruits and vegetables, but it makes it easy to add more variety to what you already eat. With 31 ingredients that are whole fruits and vegetables, switching it up is easy because we've already taken care of the hard part. Go to balanceofnature.com and get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer by using discount code POD.
I turned off news altogether.
I hate to say it, but I don't trust much of anything.
It's the rage bait.
It feels like it's trying to divide people.
If we got clear facts, maybe we can calm down a little.
NBC News brings you clear reporting. Let's meet at the facts. Let's move forward from there. NBC News, reporting for America.
Sunday morning. What's going on with the economy? What's going on with the United States? What's going on with New York City? With us today is Brian Moynihan. He's the chairman, president, and CEO of Bank of America, the second largest bank in the United States and one of the biggest in the world. And, good morning, Brian. How are you today? How have you recovered? Has everybody recovered in New York City from the future mayor of New York?
Well, it's good to talk to you, John. We also had an investor day yesterday, so we're also recovering in the elections around the country. But also, importantly, we spent 8 hours with our investors yesterday, so it was a long day for our team, and they did a great job. So
now we're talking about investing, you're the number 2 bank in the country, and there was some criticism, Brian, that you were trailing the top 5 in return on investment or on the stock market portfolio. Tell us what are we going to do to catch up? I mean, we mutually. I predicted $60 a share last year, and are we going to get there?
Well, we're doing everything we can. The third quarter, John, we earned $8.5 billion and had 11% revenue growth and 6% operating leverage and group deposits 4%, loans I think 8%. So, and the returns were around 15%. So it was a good quarter, and that gives us a good launch pad towards the next year. As we look forward, our job is just to do a great job for our customers, and we continue to do that. So, the returns follow that. We outperform the S&P year to date. We outperform the bank index. But with the capital markets, people are more oriented to capital markets. We've done well there, but it's not as big a business for us. We have a more bank-oriented balance sheet. So as that, sort of the transfer takes place in the economy and our net interest income grows, you should expect us to catch up, and we'll continue to drive it hard.
Understood. Now, is there any concerns with what's happening in New York with the change of mayors? Because some of the people in the real estate industry are concerned that there's going to be certain restrictions, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I think that the election was yesterday, and I think we got to find out what the policies that will be of a sitting, and when the mayor's inducted, what the policies of a sitting mayor. And our job is to make sure that we give the best advice to politicians in New York and around the country. We have, I think, 16,000 people working on the island of Manhattan alone. So New York is extremely important to us, and we'll make sure that we give our best advice, and hopefully they'll take it.
What part of the country is leading in growth? It looks like Texas and Florida, people are flocking to it because of their taxation laws, etc. What do you see? Because Bank of America is a national bank, and you do business all over the country, and also in 35 different countries. Give us your pulse of the United States and the world.
So I think if you look around the world, we believe the global economy will finish the year about 3% GDP growth. We think the United States will finish the year about 1.89, almost 2% GDP growth. And we think as we look at next year, those numbers are fairly much the same. And that's good because there's a lot of change going on, a lot of resetting of policies in the globe and around the world. Also, activities that cause uncertainty for business. But if you look at the United States, when we grow 2%, that's a big economy growing at a decent rate, and a rate that we all hope could be faster. And if we look at it, what we see is the American consumer continues in the aggregate. The American consumer represented at Bank of America, which is a big part of it. They spend about $4.5 trillion a year out of their accounts each year, and we track that every day, week, and month. And if you look for the month of October, they moved about almost 6% plus out of their accounts in the economy, which was stronger than what it was for the third quarter. And that's 6% more than they did last year. And so we feel very good about the American consumer continuing to be in the game, spending money. And you read about the press differences between higher income and more moderate income, but it's growing across the board. The growth rates are a little stronger in the higher income. But the good news is people are spending money. And if the consumer spends money in the U.S., that means our business clients are getting sales and we'll make some money, and that'll be good. I think when you go to the small business and business community, I think the keys are to have the policy of taxation is now settled at the federal level. The policy of trade and tariffs are getting clearer for business, and I think you're hearing less about businesses struggling with trying to figure out what's going to happen, and there's a range of outcomes of which they can adjust to. But I think the thing that's also that our small businesses tell us is on their mind is worker availability. And so you have this interesting question going on where there's weakness in the labor markets, less hiring and stuff because of a lot of stuff that's talked about technology. But on the other hand, you have businesses because of the constraint on immigration and things, which has got to sort out. So that if I'm in the construction business, I got to have the workers to do those jobs. So I think they're all looking for clarity on that policy, and I think that'll probably come clean over the next few months.
I spent 2 hours with President Trump last week, and he was telling us that he is concentrating on bringing back industry and companies to the United States. How do you see that happening? Is that in what time period? Because he uses a very large number of $17 trillion, and what's the time period you feel that could be?
Well, I think if you go back, in the end of the day, despite the debates we have about this state's policies, this city's policies, or that city's policies, and what's going on, the United States is still the best place for businesses to invest. It's a big economy. It's growing. The consumers spend money. The final demand is extremely strong compared to any other economy in the world. There's tremendous wealth here. There's tremendous productivity, et cetera. So if you think about the rule of law, the talent, that's all terrific. And so I think it's always been long term. And now with the idea that the Trump administration has had to equate people who may have been subsidizing their businesses to be competitive, non-tariff barriers, and even just straight tariffs, both for national security and general, competitive purposes, I think it's becoming a better place to invest. So when I talk to our clients from around the world, they're saying, okay, I know if I want to sell X in the United States, a product in the United States, I'm going to need to build more capacity, and I will do that as long as I'm sure that these policies won't get changed a lot. And I think as the aggregate percentage of the tariffs come down, there's more assuredness. Honestly, they'll stay in place. For example, in President Trump's first term, there were tariffs made. The discussion was, they're going to come off, and they never did. I think these numbers get to be 15%, 20%, I think they'll stay in place, and I think business then can depend on their business models to make those investments. What they'll aggregate up to, you got the AI piece, which is almost unique, to both power and data centers and stuff. That's almost a unique aspect. But in the general economy, it's going to come down to, really finding the means of production, being able to do it on an economic basis, and be able to serve the customers, taking into account that if they bring stuff in from other countries, it may be more expensive to bring it in. So I think it'll favor the U.S., and we'll see that play out. But it'll take time for people to build that capacity up.
Now, there's been a lot of conflict between the president and Chairman Powell at the Fed. The president is pushing for lower interest rates, and Chairman Powell's, chairmanship is up next April or May. Do you see lower interest rates coming over the next year or so.
Yeah, our team thinks that the Fed funds rate, which is now, 4%, near 4%, will come down to around 3%, and they think that will happen between now and the middle of next year, and that'll kind of stay there because some of this growth and some of that in the policies promoting that growth will have a higher baseline inflation, which isn't altogether bad as long as the economy is growing and the rate structure is strong. So I think our economists believe that the Fed will bring down those rates, especially given the labor market uncertainty, to help the economy continue to grow. And that's a very constructive place for the United States to be in, is to have a nominal interest rate environment which is more normal than we've witnessed since the great financial crisis in 2007, 2008, and then have a growing economy and even a little more inflation, 2% inflation. We never got up to 2%, hardly. And this is all this inflation by the pandemic and things was unusual. I think a little more robust growth, a little more inflation maybe attached to it, and a solid interest rate environment would be a good place for us to be.
Now, you deal with a lot of CEOs. Do you see confidence within CEOs about the future based on the new tax bill with some very favorable laws and the new environmental EPA laws and the lower interest rates? Do you see that CEOs are looking to invest more in over the next year or two?
Yeah, I mean, our CEOs are bullish on their opportunities, especially in the United States. Like I said, outside the United States, the CEOs are bullish on the U.S. opportunity because just the great market and the great economy that America is. And frankly, the tax uncertainty, which was closed out, so it's not an uncertainty anymore, was an issue because the debate was whether tax rates would have to go up or whether the bonus depreciation would somehow be curtailed, et cetera. That got through. That was extremely important. That took a major piece off the table and actually provided incentives, as you said, for business to invest, faster depreciation and things like that. I think the one key thing, and I think on both city, state, and federal level, is the pace at which governments need to act to promote things to happen. So all over the country, when people say, we have a housing shortage, the need is to actually act quickly to permit housing. And it's tough because there's nothing more sacred to the American public than their home and their neighbors and all that stuff. But without the permitting process, a lot of this can't get done fast. And I think the advice that the business community gives the administration, I give every governor, state mayor, whoever I'll talk to, is think about the way you can make things more economic and speed up the pace of investment is by having them permitted faster and make the decisions faster and not delay the process. So I think the promise of that deregulation, which is still coming through at the federal level and at state levels to keep up with it, is a promise that will help. So tax certainty and the deregulation coming now, I think, will help as we move into 26.
My last question, Brian. I'm looking to reduce our exposure in the Northeast versus maybe investing in more in Florida. Have you seen that in other clients?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be so specific as Florida. I'd say that, because we're headquartered in North Carolina, that's a very, very good state, one of the best states to do business in, is voted by the many polls. And you watch the activity level of as I said, with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg County authorities or the state authorities, and then saying our job is to help recruit jobs and recruit businesses and provide an atmosphere, and maybe not even big subsidies, just an atmosphere which they can grow and operate. The states that are focused on that are getting things done. And by the way, that's true for all different types of projects, including clean energy projects. If you look where they fell over the last many years and are continuing to be developed, a lot of them are in states who are getting the projects largely because their regulatory framework allows them to go forward. And so onshore wind and solar and geothermal and all these different things, you look where they're falling. So even in areas where there's a great debate about in the public domain, but the reality is it all comes down to creating the atmosphere to be competitive. When we look at our client bases and we can see our Bank of America customers moving around from city to city, we see cities, we publish this data, we see cities that are focused on, I've got to help businesses locate here, attracting, we see people moving from city A to city B. And I was just talking to some colleagues in Northeast Ohio, and, you're seeing that the Cleveland market grow because they basically said we've got to get the conditions right to get businesses in here, and our commercial loans in that market grew by 8% last year.
Well, Brian Moynihan, it seems like energy costs are going down, interest rates are going down, positive results in tax laws. The future looks bright to me. I hope it looks bright to you too.
It looks bright because at the end of the day, the American capitalistic system is the best in the world, and as you look across, and I think we always got to remember that it has its pluses and minuses, and we got to keep making sure the people who can't compete as well are taken care of. That's all good stuff, but it works the best. So, John, I'm optimistic. Brian
Moynihan, CEO of Bank of America, thank you so much for coming on this Sunday morning. God bless you. God bless your 220,000 employees?
The
213,000 employees, and God bless America. Thank you. When we say God bless America, I guess it includes Bank of America. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
It's easy to get stuck reaching for the same familiar fruits and vegetables, even when you know a colorful variety is key. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements don't replace fruits and vegetables, but it makes it easy to add more variety to what you already eat. With 31 ingredients that are whole fruits and vegetables, switching it up is easy because we've already taken care of the hard part. Go to balanceofnature.com and get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer by using discount code POD.